You're sleeping in a hotel room. The bed is fine, not even that comfortable, honestly. The pillows are too soft or too firm, or there are 17 of them for no reason. The blackout curtains don't fully close, and there's a gap letting in the parking lot light. You can hear the ice machine down the hall. You have no idea what the room temperature is set to because the thermostat looks like it was designed in 1987. And you sleep like a rock. Then you come home, your bed, your pillows, your perfectly dark room, your white noise machine, every conditioned optimized, everything familiar, and you lie there completely awake. What gives? Well, let's become more aware together. If this scenario has ever happened to you, I need you to understand something, that this is not random. It's not just bad luck. This is your nervous system telling you something very specific about what is going on. And what it's telling you is actually really useful information. Because the reason you sleep better in a hotel room than in your own bed explains more clearly than almost anything else exactly what's driving your insomnia. So let's get into it. The standard advice around sleep is all about environment and consistency. Your bedroom should be optimized, dark, cool, quiet. You should have a consistent sleep schedule, everything familiar, everything controlled, which is genuinely good advice for most people. Environment does matter. Consistency does matter. But for someone with chronic insomnia, the environment they've optimized, their own bedroom, their own bed, their perfectly curated sleep setup, has actually become the problem. Not because of what's in the room, but because of what your brain has learned to do in that room. This is the concept of conditioned arousal, and it is one of the most well-documented phenomena in sleep research. And the vacation effect, sleeping better away from home, is the clearest, most relatable demonstration of it in action. Quick pause before I get into that mechanism. If you haven't taken the mind-body pattern quiz yet, it's in the description. It takes about 2 or 3 minutes, helps you figure out which specific pattern is driving your situation. It's useful context for everything we're about to cover. Okay, back to conditioned arousal. Your brain is fundamentally an association-making machine. This is one of its most powerful features. It learns to predict, it notices patterns, it connects stimulus to response, environment to outcome, place to feeling. This is how you develop habits. It's how skills become automatic. It's how you can drive a familiar route without consciously navigating. And it's exactly how your bed became a place that wakes you up. Here's how the conditioning happens. You have some bad nights, maybe during a stressful period, maybe during illness, maybe just randomly. You lie awake in your bed, anxious and frustrated. Your nervous system, it's activated. Your body is flooded with cortisol. You're tense, alert, mentally racing. And your brain, doing exactly what it's designed to do, files this away. Bed, wakefulness, anxiety, tension. It's not making a judgment, it's just tracking a pattern. The more nights this happens, the stronger the association becomes. Your brain starts to anticipate it. So now, even before your bed hits the pillow, maybe when you're just walking down the hallway towards your bedroom, maybe when you start your wind down routine, your nervous system is already beginning to activate because it has learned that this environment predicts that experience. This is a conditioned response, exactly the same mechanism as Pavlov's dog salivating at that bell. Except instead of salivating at a bell, your brain is activating at the sight of your bed. And then you get to the hotel. New room, new bed, new smells, new sound, new visual environment. Your brain has zero associations with this place. It has no learned prediction for what happens here, so it doesn't pre-activate. It doesn't prepare for a battle. It just lets you fall asleep because there's no conditioned signal telling it not to. That's the whole mystery. It's not that the hotel bed is better, it's that your brain has no baggage with it. Now, here's a wrinkle worth knowing about. Sleep researchers have documented something called the first night effect, which is actually the opposite of the vacation effect. In people who don't have chronic insomnia, the first night in an unfamiliar environment often produces worse sleep. The brain's threat detection system stays slightly more alert in a new environment. One hemisphere literally sleeps lighter than the other, monitoring for unfamiliar signals. It's an ancient protective mechanism. So for most people, home is actually better and the new place is harder. But for someone with conditioned insomnia, it flips entirely. The familiar environment is the trigger. The unfamiliar environment is the relief. This reversal, sleeping worse at home than in a strange bed, is one of the clearest diagnostic signals that conditioned arousal is a significant factor in what you're dealing with. If this is your experience, that's important information. It means the bedroom environment itself has become a cue, and that means changing your relationship with that cue is part of the solution. Okay, so you can't live in hotels. So what do? The good news is that conditioned associations can be unconditioned. Your brain learned this pattern, which means that it can unlearn it. It just requires a specific approach. And it is not, I want to be very clear, it's not redecorate your bedroom. The association isn't with the paint color per se, it's with what you've experienced in that space. Changing what you experience there is what changes the association. And there are a few core tools for this. First, stimulus control. This is the evidence-based practice of using your bed only for sleep. Not for reading, not for scrolling, not for lying awake and worrying. The goal is to rebuild the association between bed and sleep specifically, rather than bed and wakefulness. Every time you use your bed and actually sleep, you're adding a data point. Every time you use your bed and lie awake, you're reinforcing the wrong association. Stimulus control is about aggressively managing that ratio. Part of this, counterintuitively, means getting out of bed when you can't sleep, rather than just lying there and grinding. I know that feels wrong, but staying in bed awake is actually what deepens the conditioning. Getting up breaks the pattern and keeps that association from self-reinforcing. Next, reducing anticipatory anxiety. The pre-activation that happens before you even get into bed, the dread, the here we go feeling, starting in the evening, is itself a conditioned response. Addressing that layer means changing the ritual around bedtime, reducing the mental buildup, and in some cases, deliberately approaching the bedroom with neutrality rather than avoidance or dread. This is partly behavioral and partly cognitive. Third, we have sleep restriction. This is the one that sounds the most brutal and is actually one of the most effective. By temporarily compressing your sleep window, spending less time in bed, you build up sleep drive, which essentially overpowers the conditioned arousal that already exists. You fall asleep faster, you sleep more consistently, and over time, rebuild the association between getting into bed and actually sleeping. It's uncomfortable in the short term and extremely well supported by the research. All of these are components of CBT-I, and I go through how to actually implement them in a structured, step-by-step way in the Insomnia ebook. because knowing the concepts is one thing. Having a practical sequence to follow is another. Link is in the description below. So next time you're on vacation and you sleep beautifully in a mediocre hotel bed, don't just feel relieved, get curious. Your brain just showed you exactly what it's capable of when it doesn't have a conditioned alarm response running. That's not a fluke. That's not the hotel mattress. That's your nervous system in its natural state, able to sleep, able to rest without the battle. That state is recoverable at home. It takes work and it takes the right approach, but the fact that it happens on vacation means the hardware is fine. The software just needs to be updated. If you want to understand what your specific mind-body pattern looks like and where to start, the ebook walks you through it. Link below. Next time, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to explicitly connect the insomnia world to the nocturia world, because these two things overlap far more than people realize. If you've been following my nocturia content and you've been wondering about the sleep piece, or you've been in the insomnia cluster and you're waking up at night to use the bathroom, this is the video that's going to tie it all together. It's the one I've been building toward, and I think that you'll find it really clarifying. Subscribe so you don't miss it, and as we do so, we'll become more aware together, one step at a time.